hello, everybody. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We have a new setup for our miniature painting today. You're relatively used to the rig of it being, I think, lower down and in a way where I can't lean in very easily. So actually, I did a bit of a Black Friday purchase to get myself a additional kind of like mic arm that I could attach like a mount to attach my webcam to it. So we now have a webcam all the way up here. And it means that I can lean in and work a bit better without doing my back in, which is the most important thing. We've not used this before, so we're gonna like see what we can do and kind of go with it. But we'll there's a handful of things. Well, there's so many things to talk about, so many things to show. Goodness me. We'll do one thing at a time. Step one. First things first, I'm the realist. Let's go and put some tunes on. Whew. The volume that I can hear. Let me know if that's drowning me out. That feels like that might be a little loud actually for you. Let me turn that down a little bit. And then just turn it up in my ears. Okay. I'm now concerned actually that the audio balancing for Isle of Swaps was too loud, but hopefully it was fine. So we've got some tunes going. Excellent, cool. That's the good first step. Step two, what we did last time. So to do intros again of this particular project, I have been in talks with, I met the folks from Monster Fight Club, who do tabletop miniatures for both skirmish games and tabletop RPGs and board games at Gen Con this year. And through talking to them, I mentioned that I do miniature painting and kit bashing, and asked if I could have some of their Cyberpunk Red line. Yes, some of their Cyberpunk Red line to do kit bashes with, and they were very kind and said yes, and sent me a very large box of minis to work with. So in a previous stream about a week ago, we did some kit bashing and we made 3 minis. And today we're going to not start painting them, but continue. Trying to do 3 full paint jobs on camera in a couple of hours would be impossible. So what I've done is that in my free time this week, I headed to my local makerspace to get some painting done and start putting, I guess, base colors down for these minis. You can see them in the distance here, but we'll be zooming in on them in a bit. And I was like, what colors am I going to do them in? And a project that I have also started for next year, a big tray of built and primed but otherwise unfinished minis that I would be using art from card games to inform my color schemes. And so I have a couple right here. We're going to go through them one by one. First of all, we have who I think I named Whiplash. Again, trying to find a good place to hold it in a way that you can also see it. The focus of that is maybe okay. Let me get a painting handle on it because it's going to be... I'm going to have these in a painting handle, so that would probably be the best way to check. Yeah. We probably need to move things this way a little bit. Can that be seen? Is that okay? Yeah, so I've done the base colors for this particular one. We still need to do the hair, detailing on the jacket, things like that. but the start of the idea is here. And that was based on the card Simic Initiate from Magic the Gathering. You can kind of see the where the greens and the blue-grays have kind of come in the leather browns. Yeah. It's not a one-to-one match. This isn't really designed to kind of exactly match each one, but to be kind of like a springboarding for the color scheme that it ends up as, right? We also have our media, our stage performer character with a lightning hair. I might also need to go and change my my focus. We'll see. We'll you can let me know about angles and focus as we get into it, but getting I quite liked the gradient that I got on the bodysuit. Yeah, there was a bit of there was a manufacturing error on the back of her that we had to fill in with green stuff. And it's not perfectly smooth, but that looks a lot better now that we've got that filled in. So yeah. And that is based off one of the Null Signal Games Netrunner cards. Unsmiling Svarina. I wanted an NBN card, right? You know, with being a media personality. So we're going to be trying and getting some of the deeper reds. We didn't, like, this is very orange. I want to kind of push the orange into a more red space with this. And kind of experiment with that kind of those desaturated blues and dark blues we get in the background. In some of those detail areas. And then we have the rollerblader with a katana that we replaced with a robot head and a bass guitar. The connection in the back is a little bit messy. It's not perfect, but from a distance you'd never notice, and from the front it looks great. From the front you wouldn't know that I'd had a construction error there, which is the most important thing. And the color scheme for this was quite interesting. I quite like putting the color scheme of this together. It is based on one of the new Doctor Who Magic the Gathering cards. I really liked the play of purple and magenta in this, and some of the areas that push up to like a really acidic yellow. Those are going to be one of the things we're going to be doing. We kind of get that acid yellow in there. But yeah, if you notice the white, or what could read as white on the head, isn't really white. It's just really light blue with the magenta in the shadows. Like, that effect came out really nicely. We're going to see if we can kind of get some yellow edge highlights in there and see how that works. We're experimenting. But also pushing the darker areas as well. I really want to make sure that there are parts of this that just read as black, a shiny, shiny black. So we'll be putting in much deeper shadows on the jacket to get that there. We might also there's like a tail, like a tail-shaped pattern on the back of the hoodie. We might go and make that like a bright yellow to go and match the bright yellow on the card. So those are the three we have. I'm pretty open to which one we work on first. I don't know if we're going to be getting through all three on air. I don't think that will be the case, but I am more than happy to start one that people are excited by. And last thing, I'm going to go jump into my Discord call, actually. So if folks from the Phantom Arts Entertainment want to hang, I can be there. There we go. Huzzah. All right. Oh, I didn't actually close while I was setting things up. I didn't actually close Isle of Swaps. I should probably do that. Let's close that. There we go. Okay. Yeah. I'm pretty open as to which one we paint first. If anybody from the chat has like a preference as to what we do. Like a lot of the base work is already done, so at this point it's just kind of having fun working in detail, which is nice. It can be quite relaxing to already have a lot of the base work done and just have fun doing the finer details. I also realized that I need blotting paper. Hold on. Oh, I have one here. I have blotting tissue here. Oh, hello.
Oop, hello. Oh, that noise was only supposed to play on my server. I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good. It I keep forgetting it's a thing that Discord does, so occasionally I get jump scared by it. But you're fine. How you doing?
I am doing well, and I'm actually about to start a paint project myself. So I figured, hey, why not?
Yay!
Do some parallel play and all that.
I love it when we get to co-hobby. What's the gig? What we painting today?
So I am I'm continuing a custom paint job for an AC, like an armored core model that I built using 30-minute mission parts. And I started this project before they announced their official collab, which is going to be soon, ? But hang on, let me send you some of like the base look of it, like because I did figure out the build before I figured out what the paint scheme was going to be.
Also, I will make you choose which mini are we painting today. Are we painting the parasitic mutant? Are we painting the electric game show host, or are we painting the bass guitarist skater? What are we going with?
I mean, I gotta go with Zarevna, because like she's got style.
Absolutely. So we're going to be working up some of the reds, probably in magenta actually, and then pushing that up, and then getting into some deep blues and electric blues. Okay, I know what I'm doing. Marvelous. Immediately turns to the gigantic, you know those multi-tier things that IKEA has that are like on wheels that you can just put a bunch of bits and pieces on. All of my painting and craft tools are on one of those wheelies. Ooh, I see. The pink one's looking very cool.
So the pink one is that green one. I'm doing a total conversion repaint of this kit. And this is about 3 or 4 different kits that I've combined parts from to get this look.
That's sick. Can I link that in the chat in the Twitch chat?
Yes, absolutely.
We might even be able to see if we can get the browser source going. Let's wiggle with that. But no, this looks very cool. It's very nice, and it's like a duochrome pink as well, right? I can see that it's got some shift to it.
Yeah, and if you look closely, some of the metallic areas are actually holographic too, to get kind of an energy, a small, slight energy feel to it. Having a lot of fun with the newest sets of Gundam markers because this is all marker based.
Oh wow! Wow.
Yeah.
No, I love me a duochrome in my painting projects. I need to stop. It is I think relatively early on in my painting hobby, I was like a mini had like mostly metallics or duochromes on it and not much matte, and it just looks silly. Like, oh, all of it's shiny. You have to pick some of it to be shiny to stand out. But yeah. I enjoy the effect too much. Let's see. Can we also get a visual on screen? Let's see if we can do that. Yep. I'm gonna go and save your cool looking robots. So this is what's the next step for you in your painting today?
I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the kind of shoulder pads, which I have changed out from the green, like from how they looked in the green look, and I went from having the pointy ones to having more blocky ones, because that fits more for the Armored Core style. And then continue kind of working my way down the rest of its leg segments at that point, because I don't know if you noticed, but these are reverse joint legs, which are
gosh,
nearly
it's huge.
impossible to build. But I figured something out, and it works really well.
Actually, I can just right click and choose
that
fit
is
to
an
screen.
enormous image, and I just realized that.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Fit to screen. Yeah, there we go. We did it. Yeah, I mean, this looks. I really like that shade of pink and the slightly purple reflect in it. Is that kind of shit I adore. But yeah, it's kind of, so it's reverse knee joint kind of like a thing going.
Essentially, it has kind of like two thigh segments going on, and then the shin segment. For those of you who don't play Armored Core, reverse joint legs are not necessarily the fastest legs, but they allow you to bunny hop, which is really good for dodging. So they're like, I'm essentially trying to rebuild the mech that I played through the game with.
That's cool.
Out of 30-minute missions parts. It's going well so far.
I need to. Oh, that's sick. I need to go and find the right paint for the skin tone, because I know I have it. Oh, actually, maybe we could actually go with a princess pink, because the face is actually very, very flushed. So we can go for a princess pink and then kind of like refill in the shades. Okay, we'll do that. I have like I usually work with a separate, smaller tray of paints if I am working outside of the house, to just specifically not try and take every single paint I own with me. I'm working. Sometimes that works out in my favor. Sometimes it does not. Where you kind of get a decent way in and be like, oh fuck, actually the one I needed is at home and it is not here. Yeah, I'm going to take a bit of the Princess Pink contrast paint and also add a drop of Dale Rowney fluorescent pink.
I'm going for real bright there.
Oh yeah, I love this. There's a miniature painter, a YouTuber called Dana Howell, who she kind of got her content claim to fame by doing lots of vaporwave and synthwave themed minis, and I was like, oh, you can do that? Wow. And it's definitely informed how obnoxious some of my own painting choices have been since then, and I do not regret it. I definitely love how vibrant a lot of my work is these days as a result. This is almost too fine, actually.
And the only pin in this set that's been giving me trouble is kind of this dark gunmetal. And it's, for some reason, the metallic particles in it do not like to wick towards the tip. And so if I don't shake it very, very thoroughly before I start, I just get black ink. I mean, it still looks nice, but I have a different
like,
pin.
yeah,
You know?
it needs more sparkle than that. Come on.
yeah, exactly. Going for a metallic robot look.
And it's also what you layer it on as well, right? Like I kind of begrudgingly have had to realize that most metallic paints, especially color shifts, tend to work best over a black than because I will usually do a solid dual tone base color, like it's not too dark. You know, I'll do a royal purple rather than a black because I tend to base coat a lot of my stuff in purple. And then realize like, oh, the sparkle isn't coming through as clearly as I would like. And it's like, well, yeah. You need to specifically do it over a black base coat. There is a reason why that's not lining up quite the way that you would like. But
well, thankfully, the lucky thing with the Krios paint pens that are usually meant for Gundam stuff is they have a lot of good coverage and fill. Because like they started their, I guess, industry back in the days where like Gundam kits were all like maybe you'd get 2 colors of runner, but there's supposed to be 5 or 6 different colors on the actual kit. So they had to formulate their paints to actually like, well, get full coverage on parts in whatever color they started as. And so, yeah, like I'm the pink I've had to redo in a couple of places because it wasn't quite strong enough. But for the most part, you know, whether it's the light green, the dark green, a black, a gray, it's getting coverage.
It's you know when a paint is like really good when you are painting a yellow or a white and you still actually get good coverage and like this material, this is serious.
This is the good paint.
Actually, to that end, I've been using a lot of artists acrylic, in particular a brand called Golden So Flat. It's pretty pricey, but this stuff is super opaque and dries like hyper matte, which has been very, very useful, especially the yellow. Being able to get a strong, not quite acid yellow, but still very, very, very vibrant yellow from just out of the bottle in like a coat. 2 at maximum has been very, very, very handy.
Yeah, no kidding. Yellow is a beast normally, so I don't believe that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of, as I've been working on stuff as of late, like experimenting more with working with artists' colors rather than specifically miniature painters one. Just because the properties are different, and seeing what kind of tools they have and kind of co-opting those mercilessly for whatever thing I'm working on. I need a second light source, I'm slowly realizing. Okay.
I mean, that's just art, you know? Like you gotta see what tools are available other places and then yoink them and make the best use of them in your area too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm gonna need a second light source. It is too dark in here. The rig I was using for the previous camera did have a light attached, even though it was very low to the ground. And I need to think about a way where I can. This angle is already proving to be quite good, but it's not quite bright enough.
Now, did you change the camera as well, or
no? It is the same camera. It is the same webcam. It's just rigged different.
This angle is doing it loads of bonus, I guess, because like we're getting an interesting forced perspective angle. Love it.
Yeah. Obviously, I guess I could do it like fully horizontally, but it would mean that it might get stuff might get in the way if I do that. So it's
yeah.
All right, let's move this over here.
It's a very dramatic look for right now. And we're actually kind of seeing more angles of the thing you're working on.
Yeah. You get the even though my desk isn't unclean, but trying to find a way that I'm not necessarily just putting a whole like, damn bitch, you live like this on display on the internet permanently is not what we're trying to avoid. Hold on a second. Where is that charger? It's here. It's in the distance. Back. Alright. This goes in here. Alright. Ideally, that's maybe even wiggle it so it sits underneath the camera. Like this. Ah, yeah. That's a lot better. I can actually see what I can do now. It's actually maybe even a little bit overexposed on camera. Let me,
yeah, a little bit.
There we go. Wrong. What was I working with? Where was the brush I was using? Here it is. Yeah. Using a mixture of this heavy body red acrylic and a little bit of red ink to thin the consistency down, but without diluting the color. I've noticed, well, you know, especially as we're heading into the holiday season, where there'll be lots of new people entering the hobby, and I noticed that one of the things that comes up a lot is kind of like, oh, you know, what's the process in terms of like thinning paints? That's actually really difficult to do. The consistency of skimmed milk, that doesn't mean anything, and they're not wrong. Trying to find a way of explaining that the benefits of thinning paints without going too deep in the weeds about compositions of chemicals and particle density and things like that is definitely a complicated thing to explain.
I mean, it's basically chemistry. Like, really, honestly. No, actually, like, funny you say, you know, consistency of skimmed milk, because somebody brought up to me the other day that milk actually used to be a base for certain types of paint. And that is horrifying to me. Like, I already knew about egg whites base, but like milk base? That just seems like a recipe for grody-ness.
Yeah, the painting would smell bad after a while. You wouldn't be able to, I don't know, maybe there's enough other chemical agents in other parts of the paint to essentially turn it all into plastic, but
maybe, but
it feels like a bad time. Actually, while I was in the process of me getting these like heavy body acrylics, I was kind of doing a bit of research, because since these are painters' paints and not like designed for miniature handling, not all painters' pigments are hand safe or touch safe. There are a handful of them contain stuff like cadmium, which is super toxic. Do not ingest. Do not lick your brush when you are using those kind of paints, kids. It would not go very well for you.
There was a painter I used to know who, anytime he was working on like teaching people how to paint, the number one thing he consistently said was, "Do not eat the paint." And it became kind of a joke, but at the same time, cadmium red is a thing, and like, what is it, thorium yellow or something like that? Like, there are just some straight up radioactive things out there.
It is cadmium stuff. Anything that has cobalt in it is also not touch safe. So there's a handful of blues that are not recommended to be touching. And even though titanium white is largely touch safe, it is not safe aerosolized, so you cannot put it in an airbrush. And I was like, you know, I managed to find a website that kind of explained or like had like an like a library entry of all the different types of pigments that exist, and kind of talk about their stuff like light fastness, as if it do they fade in color if exposed to sunlight for too long, and those kind of bits and pieces. It was actually really interesting to research, but also it was kind of like, okay, I'm glad I was doing all this reading now rather than buying the paint and then getting into trouble, capital T trouble, during the process. Oh, why am I so tired while working on this? Goodness. I'm coughing a lot more than I expected. How curious. Me working with like resins for the first time, not realizing how toxic they can be.
Yeah. Popcorn lung is not your friend.
I was like, man, breathing hurts right now. I don't know why. And then reading up and being like, actually, to that end, the Cyberpunk red line of miniatures are made from like a flexible resin. They seem to be injection molded because they have mold lines, quite noticeable mold lines in some places, depending on what mini you're using. Was this jammed?
Interesting. So is it like the same kind of stuff that the Bones white minis?
Yeah, I'll let me see if I can find one. I'll find one in a bit and put it on camera. But they're quite flexible for resin. They don't break very easily, which is great because you know most of these motherfuckers have swords, so making sure that the swords don't snap is nice. But yeah, they warn you not to like sand them. Unless you're in a well-ventilated area, which I think tells you all you need to know.
Good to know. Also ignore the sound of me dropping the piece that I'm trying to paint.
Yeah. That needs to be neon.
See, I find it like our processes, how they differ, is very interesting because like if I were painting that I've I probably would have started with the skin tones because like I don't know, I work from the furthest back layer forward consistent.
So I guess it's where my eye caught. I'm very much a magpie for these kind of things, and just go like, oh, well, the really vibrant nature of the suit, the gradient of the suit is a thing I really want to capture. So while I was doing because I'll go through a stage where I'll essentially block fill, like aim for all the basic colors of the thing I'm painting.
Sure.
You know, often using like slap chopping, like contrast paints to kind of get that all filled in. And then I will go back and do detail work, which is essentially what I'm doing now, is like filling in the other bits and pieces that I feel need it. But yeah, it would make sense probably to do the skin tone relatively early on, but I'm just kind of like, but the bits that are really appealing to me are the vibrancy bits and pieces. Generally in the process, it'll be a block fill of all the colors, so it's like, you know, the flats are done, and then I will go away and kind of like end the paint session for the day, and then when I come back, it will be seeing what bits and pieces I missed, because then it'll be something that I didn't catch the first time round, right? And doing the kind of detail work and shading and things like that. I'm trying to. I realize I quite enjoy doing fine lining stuff if I'm not rushed. So I think I'm trying to specifically for this secondary part of the process where I'm kind of going back in and doing the additional colors to try and use more opaque paints rather than contrasts, and kind of building up the layers and stuff then, those additional pieces of layers. But you know, a lot of it is still very, very experimental. I don't know if I'm necessarily doing any of this shit right, to be honest with you, despite the amount of time I've put in since. But as long as the end result looks I don't know, kind of normal.
Hey, it looks good. It looks good.
Yeah, you know. You realize that these things are gonna be in dim local gaming like venue basement lighting from like 4 feet away, 2 feet away. I'm like, well, you know,
it'll be fine.
The detail work is less important. I'm not gonna be submitting. I mean, none of my shit is golden demon worthy. I'm not gonna be gunning for that. So I can just take my time. The process of done is better than perfect is a thing I think I'm gonna be championing a lot more in the year of our Lord 2024. You know, I have enough of a backlog where I'm like, hey, we need to. How will any of these ever hit the table if I'm just going to be fussy about them forever?
I'm just gonna slow turn to my Skaven army, and which started off as a Warhammer Fantasy Battles 8th edition army, and has not been finished since then. And wouldn't you know it, Warhammer Fantasy Battles is coming back. So it's like nothing ever changed.
It just means you're timely.
Yeah.
Tom is also working on Skavens at the moment, and has been kind of talking about how they are. Well, just, you know, there's a fucking lot of them to paint.
Yep. I am just hoping that the battle group size is a little more balanced than it got to be towards the end of 8th edition, because whoo, a lot of red.
Was it, well, in what way was it not balancing right?
Well, it's not gameplay balance, but because it was like end times and the apocalypse is happening, army sizes ballooned. And I'll put it to you this way: one of the basic units for Skaven at the time cost half a point a model.
Oh.
And in 4,000 point games,
oh. I was gonna say, and how big is the model size, the model count? And it's like, yeah, if it's 1,000 points, then yeah.
I had 6 blocks of 50 models, and that's before I got to any specialist units.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was a lot of models. I started subbing in like Bones Mouseling models for the various rats, because I'm like, I need some visual difference.
Variety. Yeah. It seems as a result, Skaven are pretty popular for alts. You know, I try to keep an eye on it's like the 3D printing scene, but also when people just do physical plastic mini lines and what they do, because, you know, I have a soft spot for any bards. If a character is carrying an instrument, then I kind of want to add that to my collection, even if I don't need it. So I'm always on the lookout for those. But I see a lot of Skaven proxies. They seem to be quite popular to paint.
I mean, to be fair, like I really need to get around to painting mine, because I have the idea of like, okay, we are technically batch painting these, but I'm also going to do a bunch of them in kind of piebald patterns, like guinea pigs, where there's just a mixture of like white and gray and black and brown and tan, and like, you know, just spots all over their coats to give each one just some little individual like personality to it. But also still a hell of a lot of work.
Yeah. What was it? What was I working on a while ago? Oh, my AdMech kill team, which are 11 units. But goodness, I don't want to paint 11 units the same way again. Oh yeah, because I worked on that on like stream for like 4 hours, and then I think popped into your stream. Did we like do Valhalla that day? And I just kind of kept painting while working on it, while doing this. And then by the end of that, I had worked for about 10 hours on 11 minis. And all the mini painting YouTubers are like, I painted like 5,000 Necrons in 5 hours, So I'm like, I should be done by then. I should be done after the process of working on this for the. And so it was really disheartening, I think, at the time to feel like I hadn't made as much progress as I was quote unquote supposed to, and then realize that all of that was just a lie. The people who can finish minis that long are either doing much simpler minis, or they are so professional. Of course, it's going to be a very short period of time for them to finish it.
And that's what I was going to say, is that Necrons are there. You hit them with some black, and then you dry brush on some silver.
Mm-hmm.
You're done. There you are.
And I had chosen
add some brass.
a very kind of involved color scheme for my ad mech. So I was like, oh yeah, this is. I don't know what I expected, but hey, now they're done, sorta. I recently got this 3D printed speaker. It was like part of a set of like a 12 of them. I think I bought 2 sets, so I have 10 in like different sizes. And I was like, oh, some of those would make a lot of sense to have on the ad. Like one of the ad mech models is somebody who's like got such a giant sniper rifle, it needs to have a little stand for it to prop up on top of.
Yeah, the Arquebus.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, it could be propped on top of a speaker, because all of them that one isn't carrying an instrument, so it's like, how can I still get it to convey funkiness, let's say. If it doesn't have an instrument, it can be on the speaker instead.
Out of curiosity, did you pick up the Noise Marine commemorative model with the heavy metal guitar?
Yes, I have it.
Nice.
I haven't painted it yet, though. It was
Seems.
I did like like in June, July, a charity stream raising money for the Trevor Project. And I had like a bid war going for what minis I painted, which was one of the things on that list. The idea is that whatever was leading in terms of votes is what I would paint, even if what was in the lead changed midstream, which meant that in the 2 hours that I had, I painted 2 different minis, because after the first hour, the most popular one changed. And it was fun. And then after the fact, I went back and tuned them up to table standard. So in the end, I was very happy with what I painted. But the Noise Marine didn't get painted. I haven't managed to kind of get back to that one yet. It'll get there.
I feel like that guy's guitar would be a great add-on to a music-based ad mech.
It would have to be. As a mini, it's actually really large.
Yeah, it is.
I guess it's the size of a Space Marine, and I'm just, surprised Pikachu's face about how large Space Marines are. I don't own any, so it's kind of like, oh yeah, of course. The biggest, best boys are so huge and so strong. So let's get some of the golden so flat
I don't
yellow.
Technically own any Space Marines, but the closest I have gotten are Custodes, and I will have that argument. But
I've heard of Adeptus Custodes. I can't. Oh, they're the Sisters of Battle.
Well, no, the Sisters of Battle are a different thing. The Custodes are... So if Space Marines are to the Primarchs, the Custodes are to the Emperor.
Okay.
So they are visually kind of similar, but extra bling, and very, very fancy armor, and they are kind of in that Grey Knight zone of incredibly strong, but not very many of them. But they are just atrociously fancy.
All the adornments.
Their jet bikes are just covered in things like eagle, and like their cannon armor color is gold, and like they're fun. But also they have some really, really like deeply different philosophies to the Space Marines, because what each of the Custodes guards knew the emperor firsthand, and so like they avoid the ecclesiarchy as hard as possible because they're like, hey, you guys really don't, you shouldn't be worshiping him. He specifically said don't worship him, and they get angry about that. So they, for the long time, they pretty much just hung around the palace and watched Big E. Made sure nobody messed around. But then the big thing that happened with Eighth happened. I think it was Eighth.
Oh,
and
you're very up on the lore.
I am. It's one of the systems that I actually like really enjoyed the lore for because of the fact that it was very much a, hey, most of these factions are not good people. And it was very blatantly about that, and I had to be able to defend that position to a lot of other players here in the US who did not get the satire.
Yeah, they're not going to appreciate that a character was genuinely named after Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah. Or just the fact that, like, oh, what do you mean the Space Marines aren't the good guys? What do you mean the Ecclesiarchy aren't the good guys? Like, no, they're not. That's the point.
Yeah. It's a thing. I joke about this every time, and it's just because it'll never stop being true. There's like okay, yeah, no. You decided that the faction that you wanted to like collect and go to bat with are in canon, in text, huge fascists, huh? Cool. And those are the only ones you collect, you say? Oh, and you also happen to play bolt action. And what one do you collect again? Yeah, okay.
All of this tracks.
Yeah. You're telling on yourself.
Oh no, there's an extra layer of armor on this.
Oh.
No, I mean, wait, like I'm trying to keep color variations between like layers of armor interesting. And there's one more level to these shoulder pads than I expected, so
I'm using such a raggedy
being lots
brush.
of pink is a problem, but those hope it looks fine once it's painted.
Good detail brushes. This one might do it. Yeah. No, this is much better.
Yeah, that'll look.
Did you partake? How was? I haven't actually asked many of my North American friends yet. How was your Thanksgiving? Did you get up to anything?
Well, saw a couple of people that I have not seen in a couple of years. Let's see, we had a lot of food. Still have a lot of food. It's I'm gonna be eating leftovers for quite some time. That's how food holidays go.
Do you have a specialty dish that you do?
Not that I do per se, but I am a fan of corn casserole. Think cornbread, but more cakey.
Yeah. Into
It's
that.
very, very delicious.
I'm gonna go over these buttons in gold, actually. This doesn't have any metallics on it, so I can get away with an obnoxious metallic. She has an earring as well, actually, so that can also be in gold.
Oh, there you go. There was a really amusing moment of, I'm going to call it dueling banana pudding this year, because a couple of people did not coordinate what they were going to bring for dessert. And so we had 2 different grandmothers' special recipes of banana pudding, and some tension there, as you can imagine.
Well, my grandma's recipe is better. Yeah. Okay. All right. Love that. Oh yeah, and the metals and the speakers can also be in the gold. I'm into this. I've sold myself immediately with this idea. Let's get
when
some.
You discover something and you can go, ooh.
Some Gehenna's gold. That was pretty good. Yeah, I obviously we don't really do Thanksgiving over here, but a friend of mine is doing like a pseudo one. Queers inviting found family over for rather than a family Thanksgiving. Because I'm not much of a family Christmas person either. I tend to prefer to spend that on my ones. But I need to. That's tomorrow evening, and I need to kind of prepare some food for it. My Caribbean heritage is going to be taking the forefront there. I'm going to be doing some saltfish fritters. So I actually have in the kitchen, it's an open plan, so a couple meters away from me, my bowl of the saltfish currently soaking, so I can pull it apart and put it into the batter later this evening.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah. I'm not a particularly great cook, but I can do that one. You know, there's the few dishes that I know how to do okay. So I'm like, yeah, we're gonna ride these out for sure.
Yeah, that's part of why I don't tend to cook for family functions, because I know how to make exactly like 4 things that don't come out of the box, and everybody gets real tired of my fried food.
Hey, fried food is one of those indulgent luxuries. 110% comfort food. Let's go. I always find that a big bowl of rice is usually my comfort food of choice.
You know, rice is a great comfort food of choice. Do you mix anything particular into it, or just rice on its own?
It varies. Like the big bowl of like fluffy white, like sushi rice. Ooh, Just, you know, a little bit of either white vinegar or mirin if you have it, just to give it a little bit. Maybe sprinkle some sesame seeds on top. Good shit. But you know, I gotta have my rice and peas with the coconut milk in as part of the process, so it's even kind of like creamier. I've not done it for a while, but Egyptian style is also really nice, where you go and put in like cinnamon and almond flakes and diced apricot. Super good. Really good with like lamb and like tagines and things like that.
Oh yeah.
But no, I've not done that in ages, actually. That might be a good one to do for in a bit. Laurie, my partner, very good cook. Loves doing a gumbo. In fact, when we initially started going out, and he kind of invited me over for dinner, that was what he cooked to impress me. And impress me it did. It's real fucking good.
Well, then it worked.
Yeah. Get you a partner who can cook, to be real. You gotta.
Yeah, my spouse can cook very, very well.
Then you know.
Absolutely. I know. That is part of the charm, and oh my goodness, whenever we get to actually like sit down and have a proper meal together, it's delicious.
Well, I was out in the US for Gen Con. One of the fans of Skyjacks was very, very kind and kind of gave us a gift bag of stuff from Louisiana, because that's where he's based. So I got a sweet garlic pecan like marinade that, and like just general kind of like seasoning that I can use in general cooking. I've used both of those like a bunch. They're both really good.
Very nice.
when that runs out, I'm gonna be sad. I'm like, oh no, I need to get more of this. How much is this to import to the UK again? Oh no. Yeah.
Alrighty. So I need to step away.
No worries. I'll just be
But-
vibing. Oh, are you gonna be? Is because it's almost 5 my time. So are you live today?
Yes, I am live today. Today's not normally a day that I would be, but I wasn't gonna say anything because
No, it's all good. We're part of the same network, fam.
we are. But still, it's that whole not tooting your own horn sort of thing.
No, that's all good. You'll know. I don't know how long it'll go for, but I'll pass over to y'all. When I'm done for the day. So yeah. If you vanishing, I'll see you soon. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah,
This has been. It's
course.
always good to paint alongside other people.
And I really wish I could have stuck around to paint for longer. If I hadn't already made an announcement, I would have, honestly. But yeah, I sent through an image of where everything is at now. Like,
I'll give that.
New
I'll give
shoulder
that a good
pads.
minute.
They're real chunky. So yeah, I will talk to you soon then.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Yeah, no, painting with other people is always a delight. It's a way of keeping you honest isn't necessarily the right word, but it definitely helps, I think, to kind of make things feel a little smoother, feel a little easier. These eyes are going to be absolutely wretched. I can already tell that this is going to be a capital S struggle. But we'll navigate, especially since the hair is getting it. Because I got to go in with the an off-white. This might be. Not literally black lining, sort of black lining. This is a brush that is particularly good at black lining, so I should. Adding in a little bit of black lining between shapes. This is also a thing that I'm looking to kind of do more in my painting, is to try and get black lining to be part of my regular output, even if it's in small ways. So I think it really does help make parts of the mini stand out that much more. If this is all about readability from a distance, then finding the ways to kind of make sure that sleeves and hands look like separate objects is going to be key, right? Let's readjust the focus so it's yeah, this is looking reasonable. because it's also, I'm going to have to kind of go back over some of the stuff I've already done to neaten up details. You know, there's parts of the hair that I've now nudged in with a dark color that I need to fix. Although I'm going to be doing this strand in blue, so I probably shouldn't worry about that too much. Actually, let's do that now. Finding the Duke. Oh gosh, didn't land in the paint. Didn't land in the paint. We saved it. Ducat blue. This really like bold, electric-y blue. I've become a fan of. I've not used it much. Would like to use it more. The intent being actually to kind of get a bit of some fluorescent paint going and make this strand genuinely electric blue. It's part of the intent. The super pink face next to the electric blue bang is maybe a little strange, actually. It's fine. It's fine. We'll keep it for now. You know, we're still finding, still playing to find out, still experimenting with what we're doing here. Almost, it's mostly specific. Oh, the the dividing line on top of the spats could probably be. I can do the rest in a... Trying to delineate the shoes out nicely. Is both a mixture of texture, form, and highlighting to suggest all the things I need it to. Yeah. It's always nice when the curves of the miniature help a lot to kind of guide the brush to where it needs to be. Always nice when that happens. I need to direct the shoe into the shoe quite nicely. I need to decide. I guess the soles are just black. So this edge here. And the golden buckles with in. And just getting that in there. Can I zoom in a bit? Yeah, that might be better. The kind of screen real estate. And then I need to like fiddle with the focus again, sorry. God, the face is having a time. The face is really having a time. Let's get the white of the eyes in, and then maybe if I do some eyebrows, I'll fix it. We need some of the pastel blue anyway to do the highlights in the back of the hair. This pastel is so pastel that it tends to read as white a lot of the time on things anyway. So we can take advantage of that and have this be, you know, the white of the eyes, but not. I don't like it. Oh, it's not awful. Not awful. And maybe it needs to be thinned a bit. I think I went in with too much paint, not enough water. So let's make a thinner mix of that to be able to do the other one. Was it people like paint on their nail or whatever to get excess off? Yeah, no, that was definitely needed. Probably maybe even too much still. There we go. No, but now it feels too thin. Okay, maybe this is it. Like all instances of doing an eye, the entire thing has gone really haywire. Doing eyes is such a fucking pain. Just doing my best to try and fill out the shape. And then if we need to go in and yeah. Hey, it's fine because that dials out into the hair nicely, and just the rest of it needs to be cleaned up. So what are we doing in terms of finishing that? We need to kind of paint the cheek. Without getting it on. Oh yeah, that's not so bad. Like, I'll still need to actually do pupils for that. Oh man. Yeah. Pupils are definitely going to be necessary. But it's not as bad as it could be. that almost looks reasonable. Such a intense shade of pink for the face. I maybe need to kind of get a really, really pale pastel pink to kind of finish the look properly, to do all the highlights in the places where they need to be. But Okay. Oh, thinking about the other bits and pieces that need doing here. Because I don't want to just... Oh, you know, even if I finish just one, that's nice to finish just one, but it would be nice to kind of have more than one done today. That's also a thing to do. The inside of these speaker, the cones for the speakers need to be in a deeper black, I think, than what we've got here. Especially after I get paint all over them. Haha. Teehee. Woohoo. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's not too bad. Yeah, most of this is in a pretty reasonable position. It's just kind of getting the final details of it where I actually want them. You know, because I went in knowing this color scheme is going to be incredibly vibrant. So finding a way to still reach a tone I am happy with is a challenge in itself, I recognize. Just use that orange. Hold on. This. Move on with the hair. Actually, it might even be easier to use that contrast yellow that I was initially using for it, because I think the color match is probably sensible. Let's get a dab of that in. Yeah. And then mix that with my orange. I'm tearing it. Yeah, that's not. That's my bad. I probably shouldn't have done that. But it's fine. I can still work with it. It's just not ideal. Needs multiple layers for it to actually be in a good position. But that's fine. We can work with that. And we're going to go in with the yellow later to try and get it to feel yellow again and not just orange. Okay. Cool. What other bits and pieces? The back is not quite where that needs to be yet. Can probably stand to, in its deepest recesses, kind of go in with a little bit of the red, using color shifting. The red ink specifically that was a bit darker. Blend this out. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, the front is a lot neater than the back, especially in terms of like color gradient. The back is looking pretty rough. That's okay though. Actually, can maybe even use some of the orange that we just mixed up to make the back of this a bit smoother in terms of color tone. Because hey, working with oranges and yellows is definitely a process of multiple thin coats to get it to do what you want. So rewarding that patience is maybe key here. Not trying to rush that process and get something that doesn't feel right. It's definitely a much more vibrant orange than the what my contrast paint was giving me before when I was working with this. Getting a nice bright orange mix. I can set along the top here. Yeah, there we go. That feels like that definitely pops a lot more. Even start working that into the hair. To feel right in the hair is going to be the hardest part. It does feel a lot more operating in yellow now, rather than it being just patchy before. That's definitely a much more vibrant yellow. Okay. What else about this would I want to do? Oh, this kind of bit at the bottom here. That can probably also be in yellow contrast. Is it's using yellow again, a color that we know has very poor coverage over not pure white, and it can give a very, very murky result, and that's fine. But you got to kind of like be aware that that is going to be the process. I might even cut that away. That might not necessarily be intent. No, that's fine. Okay. Final detail work is, I think, putting in the eyes and then doing cleanup in the face. finding the best brush of my set to do that with. This might be too thin. It's too thin. I need a stouter brush than that. And we're looking towards the side. Reloading my brush a little. Oh gosh. And then naturally I get it all over the side of the nose. His life is suffering. God. Okay. But that can be cleaned. I can clean that. Oh man, those layers look so wonky. Ah, they're really bad. Okay. But you keep at it. You keep at it. They're fixable. It's just trying to, you know, find a good angle to get the bits and pieces that you're missing. Because if I was... If the concern is me not getting in the correct crevices, then I need to change my painting angle. It's still not quite right. Almost there though. That's better. Oh, hold on. I need to move this light away a bit because I think it's definitely blowing out the camera. Like, left eye not great. Left eye is not great. But they are at least looking in the right direction now. Please clap. I'm using some of the magenta and some of the dark purple that I was working with before. Let's see if I can get top lip done is not wet enough. Wait my brush a little. Oh man, I've managed to Okay, that's not awful. Trying to get the lip in now. Sorry that I realize I'm speaking less while I'm trying to concentrate on stuff, but hopefully you'll forgive me. Okay. So, oh man, this looks so awful on camera. I need to redo this tip of hair again. There we go. And then I need to re-sculpt out the raised parts of the face. Leave this even still operatable, yeah. See if I can neaten up the brows. Because that's usually what makes these kind of things look really wonky. Is if you overpaint and like you get it into the brow line and things like that. That is already looking better. If I can get the bottom of the eye on this side looking a bit neater as well, you might be in the money. Okay, so to my eye that doesn't look bad at all, but I bet on camera it still looks... You know? That's not terrible. You can tell that there are eyes, nose, and a mouth there. That is all I could possibly hope for. I like get a dot on the nose. She has a very sculpted face now. You know what? Yeah. Yeah. I'm okay with that. I'm pretty okay with how that's shaped. Actually, that feels a lot more natural than it did before. There was a lot of struggling there, but I think we got it. If I can make that line a little thinner. Gosh. Huh. Probably not. Okay. Highlighting. Too much. Maybe too much of an edge, maybe too much edge highlighting on the trousers, but that'll read nicely from a distance at least, right? hand is blocking it. That would be why. Okay. And then maybe getting some of the ice blue for some other edge highlighting detail. Need to wipe off a bit of that. Brushing or edge highlighting the edges. The speaker box. You see that? So there's some highlight to that. I need to get the actual black to fill in some of the space in the cones of the speaker box. There we go. Get a little bit of the... it's a custom mix. It's not pure actual Abaddon black. I've made a mix using some other paints. There's a mixture of saving it because the black had kind of congealed. So some mixing balls and then using some other satiny blacks and stuff to build it back up was a thing that I did a while ago. And it's proved quite well. It's been quite useful. I need to now just... oh god. Immediately ruining it. It's fine, I can go back in with that yellow and dot the middle. In fact, it might have been more advantageous of me to make this a little bit more liquidy, because then it could do some of the fill for me. As it stands, it's messy at best, but that's okay. These processes are a lot of back and forth and cleanup, but that's fine. Trying not to be too impatient with it, or impatient with myself, honestly. You know, there's a lot of oh no, we're in struggle bus territory. You know, you were almost done, and then you needled it too much, and now you've ruined it. Is the eternal mood, and trying not to get yourself into that mindset where you're just kind of like, oh, you know, I've ruined everything I've ever painted. Is definitely for me, I actually have to think about a lot. Where you know enough about the hobby, about the art form, to be making very informed decisions about your work, but you're still, you know, you're still new in the grand scheme of things. You're still learning, and as a result, you make choices that are, shall we say, suboptimal. And that you can really get in your own head about not painting up to a standard that you feel you should be painting at. really frustrating. So it takes a different kind of discipline to really avoid... See, that's already so much neater. So much neater. And all I just needed was a bit of back and forth, and that's already better. To not wind yourself up when working on things, and be willing to have those setbacks. Okay, that's looking all right. I'm actually very happy. Do I want to put like a spotlight on the... Or even... Actually, rather than putting a spotlight on the shoes, we can add some of the bright blue and give it like a leather highlight if we do this right. Ah, too much. Damn it. Okay, that's fine. Repainted. Yeah, okay. I'm actually pretty happy to call this like done. I don't want to get into a place where I'm fucking with it too much and then ruining what I've already done. So I think I'm in the position to kind of call this done. The base needs to be painted. Actually, let's paint. How are we doing the base? We could probably do it all in this desaturated purple and then stipple in the blue and light blue. That might be a fun way of doing it. Also, how long have we been going for? 4 hours. Okay. I guess we're only painting one mini this evening. Now, taking our saturated purple. Just, filling the space with it. In fact, we could probably stand to getting a bit more of the grey blue that we were using before and mix that in. There we go. Still getting a feel for the camera placement. Apologies. It's starting to be a little darker actually. We're kind of like wet blending a little bit here. It's fine if the color isn't a perfect match throughout. Especially since we're going to be adding in some stippling texture. With an eyeshadow applicator, actually. It's quite fun to work with it. Okay. Yeah. So we've got a kind of like darker blue, dark desaturated purple space. Maybe even I might need to dip into the black again. How do I put that? It's over here. Okay. Because I think parts of it could definitely stand to be a little bit darker. Yeah. And we're kind of like wet blending this in. It doesn't need to be super neat because we're going to be adding detail and texture on top. It's just to kind of make sure that the shadow here, like the shadowy base, feels different from like the base of the shoes and the base of the speaker. Okay. All right, I'm into that. I'm gonna clean this off. Now, where is... I mean, I have enough reticulates spare. Oh, I can use this. An eyeshadow applicator. And really what we're going to do is almost like dry brushing. I'm going to take into some of the blue. Get most of that off. Right. Can I have more on it then? Yeah. Get most of that off. And then we're going to start stippling. Might employ a wash later to bring this back down. It's a little bright. We could even actually dip back into our dark color again. And pattern this away, pattern this down a little bit. Little bits of the bright blue. This effect is less fancy than I would have liked. It looks a little bit too uniform for me. The stippling. I thought this would come out nicer, but we were experimenting, you know. It goes. It's definitely more textured than it was before, but it definitely feels a little more slapdash. Maybe a dark blue wash would bring it back in line. We're definitely flying by the seat of our pants here. It's still a little damp, so maybe I can kind of wet blend this out, but I don't know, maybe it just looks murky now. Oh, just right. No, maybe this is a more of a wash situation here. Yeah, this is just turning into a murky grey. Ah, that's disappointing. It's not necessarily what I was hoping for here. It's not awful. It's not ideal. It's definitely not as dramatic as I would have hoped. I guess kind of going into this kind of thing with intention is the idea here, and it's only just the base, right? It's not really too much of a huge effect on the mini itself, which I'm actually pretty happy with. I'm glad we managed to get this into a position where I'm quite happy with the overall design of Ha. But yeah, the last ditch attempt to get the base to do something interesting, unfortunately, did not quite pan out. But that is okay. That is okay. Man, finding good arrangement of this is definitely tricky. Here we go. Yeah, I even ran out of my playlist. Let's see if I can find a better way to get the framing on this nice. And yeah, this is fine. So you can actually get the detail in it properly. You know, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not great. That right eye is pretty awkward. It looks better in real life than it does in the photo, is all I'll say. But hey, some of the other bits came out really nice. I really like the jumpsuit, and the hair came out really nice. So it's something. It's something. We can't be perfect. We can't be perfect all the time. We can't be perfect all the time, is all I'll say. But yeah. Solid hustle. We're gonna have to either set another streaming time to work through the other two, or I will finish off camera. We'll see what we end up doing. But I'm glad I was able to make progress in finishing the 3. As painting challenges have ended up, especially since I'm working with unusual color schemes by design, a bit more of a difficult effort than normal. But I'm happy with the progress we're making so far. Anyway, it's getting to a point where I need to go and make dinner for myself, and we've been streaming for almost 5 hours, so we're going to go and call that a day. Let's go and pass on the love. Come on, go Tavern, still playing Advance Wars. We're going to go get that raid going. Raid channel 2. To come and go Tavern. There we go. They're actually on break, so we're going to be raiding during the break, but that's perfectly fine. For now, I'll find some time to go and stream next week. I have been your androgynous AI game show host from the future, Nathan Blades. This has been the New Uncasted Twitch channel. Thank you for chilling with me while we've been doing our painting, and we will see you next week for more painting, actually. We're not necessarily going to be fitting in some time for Pokemon of traveling to do towards the end of next week, but you will see me again. Time to pass it on to Sheila playing Advance Wars. We'll see you next time. Farewell, everyone.